Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex P. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Sunday, March the 10th, presented by Boston Hemp Inc. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, Connor Mack, once again with us on our Sunday show, ready to break down the NHL card. And if you are here right now, it means you did not sleep through your alarm, which is good. Obviously, daylight savings time, we had to put the clocks an hour ahead. We lose an hour of sleep, but we're all here. We're all energized, and we're all ready to go for a Sunday in the NHL. As usual, we'll look back on a busy Saturday, and it was a very busy Saturday, very up and down Saturday results-wise for me personally, but it was definitely fun. Lots of good games. It started with, we got to start with Edmonton-Buffalo because this finish was nuts in the afternoon. So it's 2-2 in overtime. It looks like Owen Power has scored the game-winning goal with seconds left. It clearly looked like a good goal. The teams leave the ice because they think it's over. Buffalo's won 3-2. All of a sudden, like 3 minutes later, they cut back from a commercial or something. They go back into the arena, and the referees are announcing there's the goal's been overturned. No goal due to offside. Now, here's where this whole thing got bizarre and batshit weird for me. You're supposed to have to challenge it, right, for them to review if it was offside or not. Well, why the hell would Edmonton and the Oiler team go to the dressing room assuming that game was over if they were challenging that call? If they were challenging that call for offside, you know, they would have stayed out there, see what the verdict would be. But they went to the back, and then all of a sudden we hear it was offside, so it's almost like they didn't challenge it, and this was some kind of replay center initiated review of the goal, which I didn't know could be done in hockey. I know in football they do it inside the final 2 minutes. The second quarter and the fourth quarter. I never knew hockey allowed that, a replay review for something like that. So clearly, because Edmonton, if they would have challenged, they wouldn't have gone back to the dressing room. They probably didn't even look at it. They assumed it was onside, and it was offside. They didn't get it right. But it's because Edmonton didn't think it was offside or didn't think to challenge it. They assumed the game was over. They went to the back. So did Buffalo. And the next thing you know, almost 5 minutes later, they're saying offside, and they had to wait like 5 minutes for the players to come back on the ice to finish the game. I've never seen anything like that before, Alex. It was nuts to watch that whole thing play out in real time.
Yeah, that is crazy to have, and that just shows you, you know, we can be critical about the referee and the officiating overall in the NHL. That's pretty bad. Now, all goals are reviewed by Toronto. If it ends up being whatever the play is that leads to a goal, it gets reviewed. For the referees and linesmen on the ice to miss this, for both teams to miss this, and then Toronto to come back and catch it is kind of just an awkward look. And like you said, it was clearly offsides that should have just been caught before, and a bunch of people missed it. So it happens, you know, every once in a blue moon where you have a call that's widely missed, but just happened to be where Toronto caught it and they did the right thing. And now obviously that just throws off everything. You go to the locker room thinking everything's done, and now you got guys who probably, you know, already, you know, gotten gear off and taking their, you know, gloves to, you know, get them you know, washed and dried and ready, and now all of a sudden have to get back into a game mindset. That can be a disastrous kind of shock. And you know, that's one of those things where, yeah, you just have to have everybody look at things a lot closer, especially when it's a play involving a goal. You know, make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just a crazy finishing sequence there. And Buffalo gets the 3-2 win in that game. Nashville with a 2-1 win against Columbus. So that's now, 10-1 for the Predators in their last 11 games. But it's the first game of this 10 games that they've won in their last 11 where they did not score 4 goals for the first time. Held below that number. And really only held below that number because Tarasov was tremendous. Actually played a really good game, kept them in it, Columbus. But Nashville still gets a 2-1 win. Carolina beats New Jersey 4-2. So that's now the Devils when they've played real teams. Two really good teams since the coaching change. They lost both, Florida and Carolina. Hurricanes get the job done there, 4-2. Boston with a 5-1 win against Pittsburgh. You know what is alarming about this loss for Pittsburgh? Boston was ass. Don't be fooled by the final score. Do not be fooled by the final score. Boston was awful for a large portion of this
early.
game. Yeah, they were getting outplayed. They were asleep. It reminded me of Boston and Washington. A Saturday afternoon home game weeks ago with the Bruins, and Washington dummied them, and Boston had one of their worst games of the season. Pittsburgh is so bad, though, right now. So inept, so pathetic, such in a bad way mentally and psychologically that it didn't matter how bad Boston was yesterday. That's how bad it is now with Pittsburgh. And every little defensive miscue that they made, and there were a bunch of them, ended up in the back of their net each and every time. Even though Boston, I think at 5-on-5, the flow of the play was definitely toward Pittsburgh. Allmark was excellent to keep Pittsburgh at bay, but that's a big-time worry for Pittsburgh that Boston was ass. Boston sucked. Boston was way far subpar than they normally are, and Pittsburgh lost 5-1 in that game. That is trouble. And like I said, I posted the question, how many games do the Pittsburgh Penguins win the rest of the season? 5? Is that generous? Because I'm telling you what, right now, it's an ugly scene with this team on the ice. Obviously, we know what's going on off the ice. They're not going to the playoffs. They traded away Jake Gensel. Crosby's in a bad mood and pissed off and frustrated. It's just not a good sign right now for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And again, Boston was pretty bad yesterday by their standards, and Pittsburgh still loses to them 5-1, which tells you all you need to know about the Penguins right now. Florida 5-1 against Calgary. Great job, bounce back team as we expected. I was on Florida, team total over. I should have been on the puck line. I screwed up how to bet this. I had the first period puck line, which actually did not cash, and I had the team total. I should have had the full game puck line too. I should have done a double puck line, but because that won easily. But Florida, great bounce back against Calgary. I still worry about Calgary's defense. No Hanifin anymore, no Tanev anymore. Both of those guys traded at the deadline. It's not as good of a blue line, clearly, without those two guys, and it finally showed yesterday. If not for Markstrom, who was actually very good, especially early, it's 7-1. And let's give some love to Anthony Stolarz. He is on a great run right now. When he's gotten a start instead of Bobrovsky for Florida lately, he is playing well, that guy. And he was excellent yesterday, especially early in the game when Calgary was still in it. And actually, Calgary had a pretty good first period. Stolarz had to make a couple of really good saves early in that game. So 5-1 Florida, they get the job done there. We'll pause there and get Alex and C-Mac's thoughts on the afternoon games. Alex, what did you think of the matinee slate from Saturday?
Yeah, well, Florida, doing what they're supposed to do, beating a Calgary team that's, still hanging on by a thread, but pretty much knowing that they're going to be out of the race sooner than later. So a big win for them. And, the Carolina-New Jersey game, that's, a spot where obviously, Kane's kind of staying off of them a little bit, trying to see where everybody's going to gel and kind of bloom and blossom. But that was a good win for them and an important 2 points. Take care of business, and that's a team now that is very dangerous moving forward, because I think that everybody's going to be able to slide in with that team a little bit sooner than maybe we expect with some of these other clubs. Same thing with Florida. It seems like Tarasenko's right already off and running, and like I said, the key of that is he doesn't have to be the top guy. We don't need there was no pressure on him to just come in and start scoring like it was in New York. Just get your feet under you. Find your space, find your timing and rhythm, and the rest will follow. He's a talented goal scorer, and he can naturally get into that groove. It's just a matter of getting comfortable with his teammates. So that's two big keys in the East to look at. The top two teams, I think, that won the trade deadline, both looking good right out of the bat with some of their new additions. But we still got to wait and see some more time, especially Carolina. Once Gensel's healthy and officially back, that's when we'll really see how things will kind of form up and shape up these next few weeks.
Yeah, no question. Spencer Knight's around still, Wojo. He's down with the Charlotte Checkers right now in the AHL. He's been playing for a while now since he came back from his player assistance program spell. His numbers are all right down there. They're not great, but they're all right. And he's going to probably stay down there because they've got something in Stolarz right now. He's playing very well, and quality stuff from him as a backup lately for Bobrovsky.
And that was the reason for them adding Magnus Hellberg, too, because he's more than likely going to be the Black Ace. Don't want to put any pressure on Spencer Knight after, he's just trying to come back, working him in slowly. They still feel that he could be a guy of the future, either as a 1B option or even a starter potentially down the road. So, good on Florida. We mentioned that, how they're shoring up the depth. If anything happens with Bobrovsky or Stolarz, you got a Hellberg in there. You don't have to just run to Spencer Knight down there in Charlotte.
No doubt, no doubt. C-Mac, what did you think of the games yesterday afternoon, the early games, and did you bet anything, and how did it go?
Yeah, you know what? I just bet kind of the early games, and they were pretty good. Preds keep getting it done. We'll get to them later. I didn't bet the Canes as they got there. How can you not want to take them? We'll talk about them later too. Devils. It's just the slide. It's just bad. And the worst you mentioned is that the Penguins game. I had Boston puck line and Panthers. Panthers pretty easy there. But you're right. They were outplayed because I was watching the whole thing. I mean, I think that was like 40-23, something like that. Shots, especially early, first period and half. They definitely did Boston. So, but they got it done. And that's tough for Pittsburgh. They're just washed. Like to play like that and not be able to score, it's just like they got to be just, man, draining. And then you just get drubbed there kind of at the end. So tough times for the Penguins. Yeah, in Florida. Just keeps rolling. One of my favorite teams to bet on.
Yeah, no doubt. They've been great. Pittsburgh is funny because in the first period they played well. I thought they played all right first period of that game. It was a pretty good effort. And then once it got 1-0 Boston, it's like it's the wind's out of the sails. And that's when things just got worse. They started panicking. They started taking chances, cheating for offense. And that's when the breakdowns and the odd man rushes and the easy goals started to flow in for the Boston Bruins in a game where actually Boston didn't play that well, like I said. Okay, at night, we saw Toronto with a 3-2 win against Montreal in that game. Pretty competitive effort as expected from the Canadians, but the Leafs find a way to prevail 3-2 over the Canadians. Look, we know we ridiculed Tampa Bay yesterday for playing terrible hockey. Credit to them, though, last night. They were ready from the opening puck drop. 4-0 lead early, 7-0. Obviously, the nice thing about losing with the Flyers yesterday, it was painless. You know, it was over early. Even John Tortorella said, I'm not hanging around to watch this shit. He ended up getting ejected. Although the referees, they did get a bit of a bad whistle in the first period, Philadelphia. I thought it was just kind of, some of those calls were a little absurd. But at the same point in time, Tampa Bay was ready to go, and Philadelphia was not. You know, and that's the difference in the game early on. Torts refusing to leave the bench after he got ejected was hilarious. I'm not fucking leaving. You guys play. Fuck off, he said. You can see it. That's exactly what he said. And eventually, though, of course, he ended up leaving. But, yeah, frustrating night for him and his Philadelphia Flyers as they get drilled. It was really the Bucks beating the Eagles last night, 7-0 in that game. They kicked the extra point with the touchdown, Tampa Bay in that one. 4-1 Washington against Chicago. Man alive. For someone that was on over 5.5, this is you can't get Chicago couldn't give me more than one goal last night. Very disheartening. We thought this would be an opportunity for them. We thought building off the Arizona game, you know, where they scored 5 goals, they won that. They could maybe a sign that their offense could start to put some things together, and then back to just one goal in a loss last night to the Washington Capitals. And this one hurt me. Ottawa, San Jose. I mean, 2-1. Magnus Krona, though, credit to him, his first NHL win. So much better, obviously, than what we saw from him against the New York Islanders. And I said, you know, sometimes when it looks obvious, you know, you're going to see a goal fest. It doesn't play out that way. And that's what we saw with Ottawa and San Jose. We did get the Ranger game right. It was a really good call. 4-0 Rangers beating the St. Louis Blues. Great spot to back them. Coming off 2 losses in a row to the Leafs and the Panthers. Now taking a step down in class against a Blues team that's starting to fade a little bit. So he nailed that one with the Ranger result, 4-0 over the Blues. How about the Canucks putting a beat down on the Jets? 5-0 Vancouver over Winnipeg. Rick Bowness saying after the game it was the worst game that he's seen his team play in the 2 years he's been there. He was pretty angry after that performance. And tough spot for Winnipeg. You could excuse it just a little bit, maybe back-to-back on the road after being in Seattle, but you still thought they'd bring something a little better than that. But credit to Vancouver. Rick Tocchet, man, when he diagnosed that problem with their team defense, they went to fix it because their team defense on the 3-game road trip, LA, Anaheim, and Vegas, and now the game last night at home against Winnipeg, they've got their structure and their team defense back. So if you've been betting unders and you've been betting team totals under for the opponent of the Vancouver Canucks lately, you're doing well. They have clearly hunkered down defensively again, trying to get back to the style of play that they feel is going to give them the best chance for success in the Stanley Cup playoffs when those begin in April. Detroit and Vegas. Vegas gets off the schneid. I figured if Vegas was going to finally get back on track, it could be last night. Detroit hasn't looked good without Dylan Larkin. second of back-to-back on the road for the Red Wings, and Vegas gets the job done 5-3. That was a good game, too. We had the over first period. Alex, I know, had the first period over as well, and I doubled up with the full game over. So that was a good result there. Red Wings and Golden Knights 5-3 Vegas. And the Dallas Stars, man, these are two games the last two nights, Anaheim and LA, especially this game against LA with Wedgwood in net, by the way, not Jake Ottinger, where you can say, this is the Dallas that's capable of being dangerous. Back to good defense again, goaltending solid, not screwing around with lesser teams like the Anaheim game, and even LA. LA's a lesser team compared to Dallas right now. LA's obviously a solid team, good team, but they're lesser compared to Dallas. And Dallas, even on a back-to-back, said, nope, we're not letting you have this one, even though you need the points more. Very good workman-like, business-like, professional effort on the road last night from the Dallas Stars. And we all kind of liked Jason Robertson to score in LA, close to home. He's a California guy, and he did. So that was a good prop, plus 220 there in that one. And a nice win for the Dallas Stars. Nice back-to-back, because now this is the confidence now, at least for the Stars fans, can come back a little bit saying, hey, you took care of business, and you did it, decisively. None of this letting the team back into the game. None of this getting off, to a slow start. I guess last night they did give up the first goal, but I don't think it was that bad of a start for Dallas. And it's good to see that from them, because they've kind of been playing with their food at times lately, too many times this season. And it's nice to see they didn't do that last night or the night before against Anaheim. Alex, your thoughts on the night slate?
Yeah, well, let's start with that Hawks game against the Capitals.
I knew you'd start there.
Yeah, we don't have to spend a heck of a whole lot of time on it. We thought the Hawks would show up. They didn't. And Washington played a good game. And now this is 1-22 the last 23 road games for the Chicago Blackhawks, who now go home in the second of a back-to-back to take on the Arizona Coyotes. We will certainly be talking about that game later. You look at the Ottawa and San Jose game, and I don't feel too bad about this game. I didn't watch much of it. I saw the score and was kind of mystified by the fact that there was hardly any scoring. But then when I looked at the end of the game and saw the shot chart, and you look at what Ottawa's chances, pretty much looked like a page of the gun range, target with Stevie Wonder shooting there. It's just all over the fucking place. There's actually shot chances from behind the net. I don't even know how that was possible. Probably have to watch some game tape to figure that out. Anyway, Magnus Krona gets his first win, first of several. And, Ottawa just still in bad shape. So, you have to be really careful looking at these teams that are completely out of the race. And keep in mind, too, we'll be talking about this with some of these bad teams, the energy level will probably be even lower, especially for some of the top players. Some of those guys who thought they were going to get moved and maybe thinking, hey, I'm going to be, playing with a contender and possibly going to the playoffs and, getting a few more weeks of hockey. And then you realize, no, you're just staying in the same old shitty team you're at, and you got to wind out the season where you are. So I think we're going to see some of those top guys that we might look at with some of these bad teams. We might kind of shy away from them as far as looking at point props and goal props and different things as well. So that was kind of the big takeaway that registered in my head. New York, St. Louis, Igor Shesterkin, kudos to him getting 26 saves, getting the shutout. Much needed confidence boost for him. It's not necessarily, just the biggest win of the year for the Rangers, but definitely a spot. He made some big saves as well, too, in that game. That's humongous for that team, because they've got two guys that are rocking and rolling right now. And, they can pretty much just kind of pick their number with those two goalies. I don't think anyone would be mad if you go Jonathan Quick game one or Igor Shesterkin game one. That's a great spot to be in. Now, obviously, you're going to have to settle and pick one and roll with them. I don't like how certain teams talk about they might want to rotate goalies during the playoffs. I think that's a horrible idea to do. You should only have to switch a goalie when you need to switch a goalie. So we'll see what happens there in Manhattan. But that was a nice win and a great first period over for me. That was my best bet on the show yesterday. And then Detroit, Vegas, they say, great win for Vegas. Great first period for us, having that first period over. We're seeing some cheap prices with some of these first period overs. And like I said, there's teams that are playing with pace. And these playoff, qualifying teams, playoff bound teams that are trying to fight for the playoffs, they're not all just holding back and playing, solid defense. They're playing their game, playing balanced hockey. And if that means showing some offense early, then you show some offense early. Talk about Vancouver. That 5-0 win, as impressive as it is that them playing better defense, the fact that their offense showed up early and they get 3 goals, that's what makes them more dangerous. If you get a Vancouver team that can put you behind, early, get that first goal, get a 2-goal lead, a 3-goal lead in the game, and then they shut down on defense, that's a team that can ride a 3-goal, 2-goal lead for 30, 40 minutes and not need to add anything else. Where there's other teams that would need to keep their gas going on offense. Vancouver, when they're playing their best defense, you only need to give them 2 or 3 goals. So that's something to really keep an eye on for that club as well.
Yeah, no question about that. And just briefly, because, actually, no, it's pretty entertaining shit here, but we'll just pop a brief clip of it here. Speaking, since you ended with that Winnipeg-Vancouver game, not a happy Rick Bowness here. Here it is.
My message was before the game was clearly wrong. So it starts with that, I guess, and then it's up. No, listen, the bottom line is that's the worst game we have played in my 2 years here, by far, because we didn't have one player play a good game, not one. So it starts there, and it ends there. It's as simple as that.
So none of this was on the Canucks.
Oh, yeah, they played a great game, but it's the same team we came in here 3 weeks ago and played. So that's on us. We didn't have one player play a good game. So it starts there.
When you did the line blending was...
Well, listen, the line blending, nothing. We had nobody going. It's that simple. Don't overanalyze anything other than that. That's, again, it's the worst game we've played in the 2 years I've been here, and we didn't have one player play well. So line blending had absolutely nothing to do with anything.
What was the most frustrating part?
That we had no one going, not one player play well.
The fact that this was a matchup you guys were obviously looking forward to, does that make it even more frustrating?
Yeah, it's all right. Listen, give them credit. They played well. We didn't. We came in here and played a great game 3 weeks ago. Tonight we didn't. So we got one more game with them at the end of the year, and we'll go from there. Get ready for Monday.
And then that's it. We're done. You know what I love about Bones? And look, people, I know Dallas didn't end well, and people, some people liked him, some people didn't, and some people were happy he was gone at the end. He's always honest, and that's refreshing. He's always going to say it like it is, and he's not going to hold anything back. He's not going to try to dress it up for the media and say, put lipstick on a pig and make a bad performance look somewhat good in pockets. No, if they're really bad, he's always going to be very upfront and honest about it, and he certainly was last night. Another great Rick Bowness moment. And remember at the end of the playoff series against Vegas last year, the way he reacted after that. So disgusted, and he walked right off after. So, yeah, that's Rick Bowness wears his heart on his sleeve. He's not going to hide his thoughts and his feelings, that's for sure, especially after a bad game. C-Mac, what did you think of last night? How did last night's hockey action go for you?
Yeah, it was all right. Not one guy. No. It was good.
That would be like me. Not one bet. Not one bet I won tonight. Not one bet. Yeah.
Not one bet. And it was all that first period. I mean, Hellebuck was just getting peppered. I think they had over 20 shots and got 3 goals quick. So that's always good. That's helping out, like you mentioned, Alex, for their defense. Kings, classic Kings. I didn't bet the Stars, but no way I could back the Kings. Just another classic loss at home. They get up 1-0, then lose. Vegas well-needed win. I think it's more the Red Wings just not playing good hockey right now. Noah Larkin March with the hat trick there. That was about it. And, of course, Ottawa Senators, that price on the road. No way. I had the Ducks, too. I had the Sharks yesterday. They're not the prettiest team to watch, but I'm glad it cashed. So,
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not so much that we love San Jose, and I didn't even touch this. I had no interest in the side there, either team, but I'll give you credit that, you took a dog price against a team that's just totally unreliable as that kind of a favorite. And It's not so much you loved San Jose. It was just Ottawa at that price was just, you had to take a shot. Ottawa laying that kind of number on the road right now, and sure enough, San Jose ends what's ended up being a pretty brutal road trip for the Ottawa Senators. All right, let's get to Sunday. We've got a nice little Sunday NHL slate on tap. By the way, if anyone's into college basketball, this Longwood team, man, they've been very good to me here. Yeah.
I've been shocked by them. I was talking earlier. I had them early where they came out and run. Then I faded them, and they lost like 6 out of 8, something right there in the middle. But now they've come right back and are red hot again. Huge win.
That is,
yesterday.
knocked off that great High Point team on their home floor where they're hosting that Big South tournament. And now they're in the championship game on Asheville, who won this conference tournament last year with Pember, the player of the year. And they're waxing them right now. It's a 15-point lead for Longwood, the Lancers, as they try to punch their ticket to the big dance. It's a great Sunday for not just hockey, but there's a lot of these small conference tournaments going on.
Yep.
And bids being punched to the NCAA tournament. And I love that it's played with this kind of like playoff intensity, these like championship games in these small conferences. So I watch more of that shit than I couldn't give a damn about Michigan, Nebraska today, or some of these other college basketball games. Give me these conference tournaments all day, every day over that.
No, it's a good point. I was actually it wasn't a smaller tournament, but I was watching Kentucky and Tennessee yesterday. I had Kentucky plus 8.5, and I was watching that a little bit more than that Calgary.
Yeah,
I was kind of happy that Florida Calgary was a bit of a blowout because I was focused a little bit more on the hoops. So March is a fun time, not just for hockey, but on the hardwood as well.
Yeah, no question. Great time of year, and it's a nice card, and we're going to begin with a game. This one's starting in about 30 minutes from now. Edmonton Oilers, Pittsburgh Penguins. We've got the Oilers minus 165 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. That was a good Pittsburgh performance yesterday versus a bad Boston performance, and the final score was still 5-1 loss for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Tells you all you need to know about where this team is right now. That the moment things go bad, something bad happens to Pittsburgh, they crumble. They really do. Look at that. Look at how that game changed after Boston finally got it to 1-0 in the second period. That's when the mistakes happen. That's when the defense blew up for Pittsburgh. That's when they're giving up odd man rushes, cheating for offense, doing all the stuff you're not supposed to do, doing all the stuff basically a mentally fragile team that's just emotionally spent right now does. And that's what we saw yesterday. And now Pittsburgh here on a back-to-back after that loss at Boston. You got now Edmonton, 2 straight losses for them on this road trip against Columbus and a comeback win for the Buffalo Sabres yesterday against them. Edmonton's won 5 straight against Pittsburgh, and they've all been by margin. This is going to be multiple ways. We're splitting this thing up here with Edmonton here. We're going to go first period puck line. We're going to go first full game puck line. We're going to go team total over for Edmonton, every which way you can think of. And we're going to split it up between the three. This is going to be something I go with every day with the Pittsburgh Penguins until they prove to me they're not fadeable anymore. And right now they are as big a fade as I have seen in an NHL regular season in quite some time. And I don't give a damn about a revenge spot for Pittsburgh here in this game. Because I know they got drummed by Edmonton recently in Edmonton, but they've been owned by this team. Their mental body language is brutal right now. It's a fragile group going nowhere. A core that is just used to being in the playoffs is not anymore. So this is a pretty straightforward decision here. Edmonton, this is like the anti-Penguins trifecta, if you will. Edmonton first period puck line, Edmonton full game puck line, Edmonton team total over. And I'm not going to ask Pittsburgh to do anything for me. What do you think here, Alex? Edmonton, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm going to go Oilers regulation minus $1.10. And I'm also going to go back. This is probably the last time we do it if it misses, but we're going to go Zach Hyman, first Oilers goal or first away goal, plus 500, along with first goal of the game, plus 950.
I agree with that. That's been good. You've mentioned the Draisaitl and Hyman and how the frequency of them, either of those two guys, one of them getting the first goal of the game for the Edmonton Oilers. So I definitely cannot talk you out of that. That is crazy that it is to say, Bailey. If there's one thing I would bet for Pittsburgh, it would probably be Puljujärvi. But is he actually going to score? And he is against his old team. They've quit on him twice. He's quit on Edmonton twice. They had every reason to quit on him. He quit on them. He didn't do shit for them. He didn't do jack shit for the Edmonton Oilers. A broomstick can be made to look good by Connor McDavid, and even Connor McDavid couldn't do anything with Jesse Puljujärvi when he was there in Edmonton. So, yeah, but the angle does make sense. You get basically thrown into the garbage chute twice by the same team. If there's one game Puljujärvi should bring something, it's here against Edmonton here today. And he is in the lineup. He did not play in the game in Edmonton when the Penguins played them recently, but he will be in the lineup today. We'll see if he can. It feels like a miracle if he does something, but just based on the angle, you could do worse than taking a shot with him, even though I have my doubts. What do you think here, C-Mac, Edmonton, Pittsburgh?
I don't need to say a lot. I mean, this was the game just flipped last week, and nice work, Alex, with the Hyman first goal there. Huge casher. I just see more of it. I just, and watching yesterday how I thought kind of they played early and then still lose 5-1. I can't back the Pens at all. So I like the team total of 3.5. Even the first period, we cashed that last week. I think that could happen again. And I think in the end, Amanda, I didn't get this over. Maybe the Pens could get a little more than one. I know they got one kind of late that got that game over last week. But yeah, I think the Oilers at least get 4 here. Bounce back after a tough game yesterday.
Yeah, I'm with you on the over. I think it could get there. I might actually put a little something on that, over 6.5. We have seen the over cash in 3 straight head-to-head meetings and 5 of the last 6 with Edmonton and Pittsburgh, 6-3, 7-2, and 6-1. The last 3 that went over the total. By the way, the last 2 trips Edmonton's made to Pittsburgh, they won those games 7-2 and 5-1. 12-3 combined score in those 2 games for the Edmonton Oilers. And the thing is that's scary for Pittsburgh is Edmonton's coming off 2 losses in a row. So there should be no resting on your laurels if you're Edmonton here. No, you need a W, okay, because you've lost the last 2 games on this road trip to Columbus and Buffalo. You need a W here in this game. You can't screw around with this horrendous Pittsburgh team. You got to show up with a business-like attitude and get the job done. By the way, Calvin Pickard and Tristan Jarry are going to be the starting netminders here in this game. Not a surprise because we saw Skinner yesterday for the Edmonton Oilers against Buffalo. All right, next up, we've got Nashville and Minnesota. With the Minnesota Wild minus 135 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this one. Nashville on a back-to-back here, coming off the 2-1 win against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now in Minnesota against a Minnesota Wild team that is off a hard-fought, tough 2-1 loss in overtime to the Colorado Avalanche on Friday night. It was actually a pretty good game out of Gustafsson in net. Man, there were some chances, but the power play for Minnesota comes up empty, 0-for-4. Couldn't cash in and convert on some of the really good looks they had. And all you have to do is give Colorado one chance in overtime like they did with the power play, and they can make you pay. And Big Val Nichushkin ends up getting the overtime winner for the Avs Friday night against the Minnesota Wild. As far as this game goes, now yesterday we saw Lankinen, so we should see UC Saros here get the nod for Nashville. Gustafsson projected, although not confirmed yet, for the Minnesota Wild. Yeah, I mean, at this price, it's even on a back-to-back, it's hard not to look at Nashville. I mean, plus 115, plus 120. I'll probably look in that direction. I'll probably do a split with the team total because the majority of the Nashville wins, 9 of their last 10 wins have been games where they have scored at least 4 goals in 9 of their last 10 victories. So when they win, they often score 4 goals. Until, of course, yesterday. But I think they might be able to get back to that here today. It is also worth noting Nashville has won 7 of the last 10 meetings versus the Minnesota Wild, including each of the last 2 earlier. Actually, the first meeting this year in Nashville, Minnesota won 6-1, but Nashville's taken the last 2, 3-2 in Minnesota, January 25th. And then just a couple of weeks ago, it was a 6-1 beatdown in Music City for the Nashville Predators against Minnesota. So, like I said, we're going to do a little Nashville money line, Nashville team total over split. This could be actually, as far as this game goes, I'm trying to see what the recent series history has been with these 2 teams. But the last meeting went first period. 2 of the 3 have gone over in the first period. Don't know about the full game total because I could see it maybe slowing down, but maybe I get in there with a first period over as well. Alex, what do you think here? Predators Wild.
Yeah, so the first period over is actually 9-2 in the last 11 meetings. However, as you mentioned, it's cash in 2 of the last 3, and they've been very one-sided. You had one game where there was no score last time, in fact, they played here at Xcel Energy Center. And then you had where the Wild jumped all over Nashville, 3-0 in a game back last year, 2-1 kind of back-and-forth game the last time the 2 teams played on Leap Day. I don't like the first period over. I don't like any of the totals here. I just strictly like a side, and I'm going with Nashville. You give me plus money, and I get the Wild are favorite here. Some people saying Cherry and Goose saying in the chat that this line's a little fishy. The Wild, at home where they play better at home than they do on the road.
They always get
revenge
respect,
spot.
betting market respect
They
at home
always
too.
get they always get respect here. So this is way too this is a definitely great price to buy on Nashville. I don't see them slowing down at all. They played well against division opponents, played well against Minnesota, and this is just taking the better team at a plus price. So I'm rolling with Nashville, and I'll grab a little team total over with the Preds as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing a split here. Nashville money line, Nashville team total over. Yeah, again, and it is a rest advantage too for Minnesota, so that's probably part of it as well.
Yeah.
But they're always, remember, Minnesota, even against solid teams or slightly below average teams, we'll see Minnesota laying minus 150, minus 160 in those games at home. So I am not totally shocked they're favored here. I'm not. Based on the home ice history and how they're priced at XL Energy Center, the back-to-back spot, I'm not all that shocked. Even though Nashville, like we said, is 10-1 in their last 11 games, playing some excellent hockey, and that's why I like Nashville more than anything. You're getting a plus number. They've played well against Minnesota. You're getting plus money. The team that's won 10 of the last 11. So no harm in that, taking a shot. What do you think here in this one, C-Mac, Nashville, Minnesota?
Yeah, you talked about the back-to-back, and they're at home rested, but come on. This is a little fishy. I mean, Wild, minus 140. I just think it should be closer, here, minus 110, that way, around there. How can you not want a piece of the Preds? I mean, I've been cashing with them. Why jump off? And I love seeing when they've kind of, had success against a team like they have against the Wild. I think you guys ripped it earlier. So I think you got to put a little something, even though it's a little fishy. I think you got to put something on the spreads here.
The team total here. We're not getting the usual 3.5 with Nashville. You got to lay a minus 135, minus 140, but you're getting 2.5 with Nashville here on this team total, which I think is definitely something they can manage here in this game. How are they going to contain Forsberg, O'Reilly, and
Forsberg's been great. Yeah,
it's incredible.
No, as I say, people in the chat were mentioning about the draw. This is a draw season spot, but the history hasn't been favoring the draw like it once was with these two teams. So I would tread lightly with that. I wouldn't add if I had to bet a draw on the board. Just kind of looking, this probably wouldn't. This isn't certainly my favorite. I don't have a play on it, but you could make a case for it. Just like I said, off of the fact that the Wild still technically in the race, Nashville needing points. And if this game is close, I can see where Nashville may try to tighten things up. I just don't think this is going to be that close to the game.
Yeah, I think that's it's a fair assessment. I think when you look at it. So, like I said, I wasn't veering toward the draw necessarily here either in this one. As far as props for this game, like I say, you could go with anyone on that top line right now is dangerous. Throw in Luke Evangelista, Cody Glass as well. They have perked up a lot lately for this Nashville team. Anthony Beauvillier, now is with Nashville here, so we'll see if he can do something. He had 3 shots on goal yesterday against Columbus, so he did shoot the puck a little. He is on the second line, so scary thought because we know that he didn't do a whole lot with Chicago, but I think maybe he got caught in a team that's just as a team offensively not doing a whole lot. So Beauvillier on the second line, I still think there's some decent value there as far as his props going into this game here this afternoon. All right, next up, we've got the Calgary Flames taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. It's a back-to-back for both teams because both played in the afternoon yesterday. Calgary in Florida, and Carolina, of course, was in New Jersey. So they both actually have to travel as well for this game in Raleigh. We've got the Hurricanes minus 230 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. I was waiting for it to finally happen for Calgary. These games coming out of the trade deadline where you trade away Chris Tanev, you trade away Noah Hannafin. When are we going to start to see that blue line start to, puke it up, if you will, and give up goals? And finally, we saw it yesterday against Florida. I think this is a team where, moving forward, if you take opponents' team totals against Calgary, I think you'll do well. I think you'll be profitable moving forward because I just think that defense is a whole hell of a lot weaker when you take away and subtract Chris Tanev from it and when you take away and subtract Noah Hannafin from it. And I think you're going to continue to see that. So I'm definitely interested in a Hurricanes team total here in this game. A very cheap, reasonable over 3.5, minus 120 to minus 125 with the Hurricanes team total in this game. Again, this is a Carolina team that's not always reliable to score for, because sometimes they'll get a 2-0 lead and a 3-0 lead. They'll just sit on the damn thing because they really do focus on team defense, when they end up obviously having the lead. But I think in this case here with Calgary's blue line, look, there's just a lot of change there back there. And now guys have to play minutes that they're not accustomed to, like a Braden Pahal, like a Dennis Gilbert. Daniil Miramonov, I think, is going to be good long term. He's a very good prospect defenseman, but they're asking him to play second pair and a lot of minutes already when he hasn't played a ton yet at the NHL level. So he's probably going to go through his growing pains as well going into this matchup against Calgary. So tough spot as well off the 5-1 loss. Dan Vladar is expected to be in net after it was Jacob Markstrom yesterday. And Jacob Markstrom, without him, could have been 8-1 Florida. He was absolutely terrific early in the game to keep Calgary in it. So that could be trouble here. Vladar's had a bit of a, compared to last year, a bit of a down season, 3.21 goals against average, .890 save percentage for the man from Czechia, Dan Vladar. So I think Carolina here, team total over 3.5. I was looking maybe at a Carolina in regulation as well. I leaned that way. The price was just a little bit too rich, unfortunately, to go ahead with that. -140 for a regulation bet. No thanks. I mean, for a money line bet, I'll lay -140. Not for a regulation bet, though. So for me, I'll lean that way, but I will stick to just the team total here for Carolina in this game. Alex, what do you think? Flames, Hurricanes.
Now, we talked about changes with Carolina, how things seem to be probably going to be much smoother for them than some other teams. We didn't mention about, like you said, changes with the teams that are, kind of, going down the hill and calling it a season, like Calgary, like Pittsburgh. Those are things we have to kind of look at too. You got two teams, both traveling, both having to make changes. Carolina coming off of a nice victory. I think this game could probably be kind of slow, especially if you look at Carolina being the team to take the pace. You know how they want to sharpen up and get things done defensively. I took a shot here with the draw at +390. I think this is a game that could be kind of low and slow. And I also look at the last three meetings, 3-2 finals. So all games decided by one goal. We've only seen two of the last 5 meetings go past regulation. So this is my favorite draw play on the board. +390. That's the only thing I have here.
All right, we don't have a goaltender confirmed for Carolina, but with Kochetkov getting the nod yesterday, you would assume Freddie Anderson, who is back, by the way, and he got his first start against Montreal earlier this week back from injury, and he was pretty good. 1 goal allowed on 25 shots, but we'll see how he fares here. That's another reason why. Not only was the price not great with regulation, but it's another reason why I took Carolina team total over. I don't want to worry about Freddie Anderson. I don't want anything to do with worrying about what he does and how he plays. A guy that hasn't played much hockey in a long time. And Calgary's effort is still there. Like Calgary, even though they lost 5-1 yesterday, it was their effort was very high. Their effort was very good. Like they're not packing it in. They're not mailing it in and crumbling psychologically and mentally like the Pittsburgh Penguins are. Right. So the effort's still been very good for Calgary. So for that reason, and Freddie Anderson, I still got to see more before I'm ready to trust him as we can really count on this guy to be a stopper in the net. So that's why I definitely like the team total element for Carolina more than regulation, puck line, anything like that in this game. C-Mac, how about you? Calgary, Carolina.
Yeah, I get how you want to just kind of isolate Carolina and their team total, because what do we get from this blue line? Both teams on a back-to-back. I love to see it. You mentioned the last few have been 3-2 games, and this could be low scoring, but at a 6, because there are 6 out there, and there's a ton of 6.5s. 6, I want the over. I think there's goals. Calgary's been playing to the over. Yesterday it's just because they didn't get kind of more than 1, and you mentioned Florida could have had a couple more. So I think we get goals in this one. So I like the over 6 here, -120.
Yeah, all of a sudden, flying under the radar, C-Mac's like an over 6 here. Calgary 5-0-1 to the over in their last 6 games. 5 of the last 6 games for Calgary have gone over the total. And the one yesterday was a push with Florida because the total was 6. So you're right. I agree. I think Calgary's going to be an over team moving forward. The only concern here with the over for the full game would be what if Carolina parks the bus if they get the lead. I think there's a chance they're playing from in front for a lot of the game. And that's what
the 6 is good. We saw this last week when I had the under with the Kings. We talked about they get a lead, sit on it, kind of like the Canes do. That's why the hook here I think is important. You know,
If you have the over and you're worried and it gets to a point where it's like 2-0 or 3-0 Carolina, you can always bet a live under. If you're worried about the full game over getting there because they're going to try to protect the lead play defense, which Carolina does often, by the way. So, yeah, and on the flip side, you're right. Our guy Philly Eagle Flyer in the chat saying, yes, Calgary has 5-0-1 to the over in their last 6 games, but Carolina entering this game is 7-1 to the under in their last 8 games. So, it's like point counterpoint kind of with the total here between the Flames and the Hurricanes. So it should be interesting to see how it plays out. I got to bet Sharon Govich, man. This guy is just ridiculously producing right now for the Flames. He just keeps scoring every game. You got to look in that direction. Coronado's on the top line with Sharon Govich and Huberdeau, so there's probably some value there. Peltier, I mentioned him. So there are a couple Calgary props I'll sprinkle on, even though I'm on the Canes team total. For Carolina, Teravainen, I've mentioned him. Nason on the second line as well worth the look here, in my opinion. Natchez has been good, so those are the props I would focus in on for Carolina in this game. All right, next up, Arizona and Chicago. We've got the Coyotes minus 180 road favorites. The total 6 in this game with the Yotes and the Blackhawks. You know what? There's reasons to like Arizona here, but I'm going to start with Alex here for this one because he's got all the numbers. He found them, but I'll just be brief and then I'll pass it to Alex here. You've got a Chicago team that clearly couldn't build and withstand prosperity with the win against Arizona, catching Arizona in a brutal spot, by the way. I don't want to give Chicago hardly much credit for that because they caught Arizona in a brutal spot. Brutal. Coming off that long, and I mean long Eastern road trip. And Arizona had nothing in the tank. Chicago beat them in Arizona earlier this week. And for Chicago to come back after that win and play like they did yesterday against Washington tells you it's not sustainable. Back to the old Hawks. Now you're on a back-to-back Sunday home games. Alex will tell you the stats on that. You got an Arizona team in revenge, by the way, for that terrible game against Chicago, which was really schedule-related more than anything. And a good win against Detroit to bounce back from that loss against Chicago for Arizona on Friday night. So there's reasons to like Arizona, but Alex will tell you all the stats and the numbers to back up why there's all these reasons to like Arizona tonight.
You know, if you've watched this program for the last several years, you've heard me say the Hawks are a terrible team to watch on Sunday nights. The 6 o'clock Sunday night start is one of the worst things that happened for the Hawks over the last several decades. And you heard me last year, this past year, talk about Arvid Soderblom and how bad he is and how he's one of the worst goaltenders I've ever seen in Chicago Blackhawks uniform. You're probably thinking, Alex, you're overreacting like you always do, getting all hyped up and mad. Where are the numbers to back up these things? Well, let me read off some of the numbers to back up these claims and statements. The Chicago Blackhawks, going back to March 7th, 2021, are 6-24 straight up in Sunday home games. Most of those taking place around 5 or 6 p.m. on Sunday. They are 1-5 this season in the last 6 of back-to-backs. The second of back-to-back games, 1-5 straight up. And Arvid Soderblom getting the start against the team that he played in the last game, made a huge splash, had a big game, 37 saves, ended up beating Arizona. He's now 5-30-3 in his career. Most of those wins have come on the road. In fact, he is 1-7 at home in the 8 games this season. Soderblom's 4 wins that he's previously had, these are the numbers he's had after those victories. Go back to November 5th, 2022. He gave up 3 goals on 24 shots in 39 minutes of play. He gets hurt in the last minute of the second period, gets pulled. Hawks lose to Winnipeg 4-0. November 16th, 2022, against St. Louis, gives up 5 goals on 35 shots. Hawks lose 5-2. You look at opening night, this October 21st, 2023, Connor Bedard gets the first goal of the game. Crowd's going nuts, and then he goes on to give up 5 goals on 24 shots, Soderblom, and the Hawks lose this game 5-3. Black Friday, November 26, 2023, against St. Louis, 4 goals given up on 28 shots as the Hawks lose 4-2. Arizona's going to be gunning for Soderblom after that start that he had at Mullet Arena, and it won't look anything the same. Give me Arizona on the first period puck line. Give me the first period over 1.5 minus $1.20. Soderblom's last 6 starts, the first period over is 4-2. Give me Arizona team total 3.5. You can get that at plus money. Plus 105 is what I grabbed at Bet Online this morning. And give me Arizona to win this game in regulation minus $1.20. That's still available over at BetMGM. Arvid Soderblom is awful. The Hawks suck, and Arizona is probably going to get a big win here over at 1901 West Madison.
There you go. How about that for a breakdown right there? Just absolutely expertly taken apart and analyzed right there. His Blackhawks, who he thinks might be in for a world of hurt tonight on home ice against the Arizona Coyotes, who, by the way, prior to losing at home 5-2 to Chicago earlier this week, they had won 3 in a row against the Chicago Blackhawks. And by the way, the only thing I will add to that, because I'm going to take a piece of everything Alex just mentioned with the first period puck line team total. I agree with all of that. I'm going to add the full game over onto that. First period over bifecta. I'm not doing trifecta. I think I'm just going to do over bifecta here with this one. First period over, full game over. But I agree with Arizona first period puck line, Arizona regulation, Arizona team total. Revenge spot. Arizona got their mojo back. They were great against Detroit. They got 4 goals. They can get 4 goals here. That's probably my favorite of the bunch is the team total.
Yeah,
just ask Arizona to get to 4. I think they should be able to here tonight in this game. C-Mac, what do you think? Coyotes, Blackhawks.
Yeah, I like the team total like you're talking about. It seemed like they can get to 4. And when they got to 5. I thought they looked good. Slapped me across here Sunday morning, the Capital game. Yeah, that's just they should get plenty of goals here. Take some Yotes goal scorer props. You probably want to hit that, Bavano. I'll give that at the end. Our bargain bin segment.
Absolutely, plus 300 or better. The bargain bin special, definitely. But there's a bunch. Clayton Keller's the obvious one, but you don't get the prices you can get with some other players. Nick Bukestad's actually starting to score. Alex Kerfoot remains on a great run lately. He's worth a look. Gunther Cooley on the third line. I've been betting them quite a bit, and I'll throw one out there. He's heating up again. It's a guy, and Terry already mentioned him in the chat. It's a guy that we cashed with a bunch. He was on this heater early in the season, scoring-wise. He's starting to percolate again. Our old friend. Hello, my old friend. I've come to bet on you again. Michael Carcone, 3 goals in the last 5 games for the Arizona Coyotes.
There you go. That was my guy, the mullet man.
Yep. Michael Carcone, man. This guy in October and November
Journeyman.
on this show, C-Mac, we were betting this guy every game for the most part. Let me go back to that early season run. Like, it was a crazy run. November, here it is. He had a stretch in November and early December. Michael Carcone, November 22nd to December 11th. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. And in that span, he had 8 goals in 9 games. This is the kind of run he's starting to put together again right here for the Arizona Coyotes. So, yes, Mr. Carcone for the Arizona Coyotes. Definitely, I think, worth a look here. Once again, at that price, no question about it. Connor Ingram, by the way, confirmed in net for Arizona. And as Alex mentioned, unfortunately for Blackhawks fans, but it could be fortunate for bettors of this game, especially watching this show, that Arvid Soderblom in net tonight for the Chicago Blackhawks.
And the Blackhawks going to get 4, power play goals again. I don't think.
I can't believe they did that once. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lucky to see them get 4 power plays tonight.
Yeah.
That's true. Never mind goals. Give me 4 power play attempts from this team. They'll be fortunate to get it, no doubt. All right, final game, New York Islanders, Anaheim Ducks. Islanders minus 200, road favorites here in Honda Center, 6.5 the total in this game. Obviously, for the Islanders, it was an absolute beatdown over San Jose, 7-2. They got the bad version of Magnus Corona that night. He ended up playing poorly and then bounced back, played a great game last night against the Ottawa Senators in a San Jose win. Islanders are playing good hockey right now. Patrick Waugh has got them going. They're trying to make this push to get into the wild card in the East. They're still hanging around. And look, because of the fact that a lot of the teams are kind of stumbling around them, the Islanders, they're only 4 points back of Philadelphia with 3 games in hand on Philadelphia. So it's time to start talking seriously about the Islanders very much being in this playoff mix, and at least still having very much a chance to be in the postseason. No question about that. So keep an eye on that. And then as far as the Anaheim Ducks are concerned, look, Anaheim, 3 wins in their last 5 games. They've been competitive. The losses were to Dallas, 6-2 on Friday night, 2-1 against Vancouver. So we're looking at a situation where Anaheim's been a lot more competitive lately. Absolutely. to me, this is what I'm looking at here. I want to wait and see who's in net for Anaheim. We're starting to see a little something develop with the Ducks, and here's what it is. Gibson in net, I'd probably look at the opponent and I'd look at the over because Gibson's not been great lately. Gibson actually all season long, and you got to wonder where his mental frame of mind is. I'm stuck here with the Ducks again. Another trade deadline has gone by. I'm on a team going nowhere again this season. I'm now 30 years old. I'm going to be on the wrong side of 30 now, and here I am with this Anaheim team still going nowhere. So from that standpoint, you just have to ask yourself here, how enthused is John Gibson right now, at this stage of his career? 6 goals allowed to Dallas. His overall numbers this year aren't great. 3.22 goals against, 896 save percentage. If he's in net, I'm interested in over trifecta in this game. If it's Dostal in net, I would pump the brakes a little bit because he's been great. He's been really, really good, this young kid in net for the Anaheim Ducks. He's been so good. He's been standing on his head. He's the reason Vancouver only got 2 goals. They had 40 shots in that game. They only scored 2 because Dostal was excellent in net. So from that standpoint, look, I would be a little bit concerned about the overs here with Dostal. But if it's Gibson, I'm on them. I lean overs. I might still bet him with Dostal, but I'd be a little more leery about it because I like the way that kid's playing in net. But I've definitely got my eye on an over trifecta in this game. The Islanders have been scoring goals, 7, 4, 5, and 5 goals during their last 4 games. A grand total of 21 goals in their last 4 games combined. Anaheim's trended over the total lately, giving up goals as well. The Islanders, like I said, have been scoring goals. And then you look at head-to-head with the Ducks and the Islanders, 4 straight overs, 4-3, 7-1, 6-3, 4-3, the final scores. So I've definitely circled the over trifecta, but I'm just waiting to see if we get Gibson or if we get Dostal for Anaheim in net. It is going to be Semyon Varlamov, by the way, in net for the New York Islanders. That's already been confirmed. So giving Sorokin a rest. What do you think here, Alex? Islanders, Ducks.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Dostal, I have him ranked much higher than Gibson, and my goalie rankings will be coming out tonight on Patreon, so definitely check that out. But I'll tell you right now, there's a 20-cent difference between Dostal and Gibson, which is a complete flip from 2 years ago where Dostal was a 40-cent drop-off as a third-string goalie from Gibson. So in saying that, yeah, if it is Gibson, over trifecta, probably a little bit smaller on the pregame first period over and full game overlooks, adding a little bit more in game, trying to get a little bit of adjusted number or price. If it is Dostal, and this is what I'm going to stay off of pregame and maybe look for some shots in game. Maybe we see the Islanders kind of get stymied. If Dostal's in the zone like he was in his last start, then we might have an opening to try to get Anaheim live and then get the upset.
I think so too. I think this is a dangerous game for the Islanders if it's Lucas. Like Lucas Dostal is really playing well. We're not blowing smoke here. He's been the reason they've won games and been in every game, I think, recently that he started, for the Anaheim Ducks. So if it is Dostal, I'm not saying Anaheim would win, but I'd be tempted at a plus, what is it now, 170 up to plus 180 with Anaheim if Dostal's in net. It's not like the Islanders, even though they're playing well. It'd be so Islanders to get tripped up in a game like this. And again, Dostal, as of late, he has been picking it up. He has given up just 3, 6, 8, 9 goals in his last 4 starts for the Anaheim Ducks. And he's won 2 of his last 3 starts as well. Beat New Jersey, beat Ottawa. And look, Vancouver, he was great. Even though they lost 2-1, he was great. So it's time to acknowledge how well he's playing. He did an interview by the way, with the NHL Network. I happened to see it the other day. Good English too, and very, very good personality-wise. And also, he looks a lot like Darcy Kemper. There's definitely a similarity too in terms of the resemblance. But right now, he's a better goalie, I would say, than Darcy Kemper right now. What do you think here, C-Mac? New York Islanders, Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, you mentioned 2 of those 3. I was on all 3. The last Sunday, they just didn't get enough, pucks to the net there in that Vancouver game, that 2-1. They came back. I had them against Ottawa. I didn't take them against Dallas. I just keep going through. I've been going through it all morning. I'm like, yeah, Gibson, I don't want. I think they could score 3 quick goals if he's in net. So this is a wait for me, maybe a live bet. I can't pull the trigger on anything here. Islanders red hot, where they won 5 in a row, scoring 4 or 5 goals. Seems like every game. So this was a wait for me. Wait and see.
Yeah, Palmieri and Nelson are the obvious goal props for the Islanders. They've been great, both of them, no doubt. And you can even throw in Bo Horvat. He's starting to get going again. And then for Anaheim, Strome, Killorn, Vetrano, they've all been good. McTavish is back now.
McTavish is back.
Yeah, those are definitely ones that I would keep an eye on here as far as goal props in this game, no doubt. All right, there's the Sunday card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. All of you being with us here on a Sunday. It's not always the easiest day of the week for people to tune in and watch live, so we definitely appreciate it very much. And we also appreciate each and every Patreon Ice Guys member and subscriber. Make sure if you are not a subscriber already, you sign up, subscribe at patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Our daily sides totals and player props are posted there each and every day. Goalie charts, totals charts, bonus video content, and a Patreon exclusive Ice Guys live betcast this week. Day to be announced later in the week. We'll announce it the day of, but we do have a Patreon exclusive live betcast later this week, and we are very much looking forward to that. And so sign up to make sure you don't miss out on the betcast. Patreon.com/iceguys. And again, your $10 per month subscription goes a long way to keeping the show going long term. Patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. And again, our main free for all betcast, Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern. We wanted to pick a Tuesday and a day where there's no NCAA tournament action going on. So that is going to be the main betcast public free-for-all. Tuesday, March 26th, 7 p.m. Eastern. It is a great NHL card that night. A lot of good games. So again, if you want to join us on that live betcast, Tuesday, March 26th, DM or email me or Alex for a spot on the betcast, and we will make sure we send you the link for that betcast before it begins. And make sure you check out the Ice Guys store. Get your gear and your merch over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yes, there are 3 days left to save 20% off all your orders. Go to iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Click on the redeem button at the top of the page. Add everything to your cart, and 20% will be taken off at checkout. That's right now, 3 days only. iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, great stuff. We got our bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors, Boston Hemp. All right, Boston Hemp Inc. Make sure you check them out. And again, you can get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code IceGuys over at bostonhempinc.com. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. A couple of dry nights in a row with the Bargain Bin Special of the night, but that's okay. They're bound to happen at some point. You know you're not going to hit these every single night, even though sometimes it does feel that way with some of the heaters we've had on the Bargain Bin Special of the Night segment this season. But Alex, we'll start with you. Where are you going for the Bargain Bin tonight?
Maybe a little bit of daylight will help. Let's go down the street here to West 7th. We got the Wild and the Predators going head-to-head Central Division battle. I'm looking at Mr. Ryan O'Reilly to get 2 points here, plus 390. He just had his season-long 6-game point streak snapped. Didn't get anything going in that Columbus game. I think, it's a big game, Central Division battle, on the road, TNT. I think Ryan O'Reilly is going to step up with not 1 but 2 points here. So you get plus 390 at FanDuel. That's my bargain bin special for the Sunday afternoon. Ryan O'Reilly, the Nashville Predators, 2 points or more.
All right, there it is. Ryan O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ryan O'Reilly over 1.5 points, plus 390 for the Nashville Predators. Bargain bin special of the night for Alex B. Smith. C-Mac, what do you got from the bargain bin? You're muted, I think.
Carconi. Terry put it in the chat. I had it already 4-1. I got to go with the guy. So that's my bargain bin. My other one, I was looking at was Mangiapane. He's plus 370. I think the best numbers there. I don't know. I think you could sneak a goal or two in there.
There we go. So a little honorable mention for Mangiapane, but officially Michael Carcone for Connor Mack. And again, you're getting a great price with Michael Carcone, who again, as we mentioned, starting to heat up again for the Arizona Coyotes as of late. Let me just see what the best price is on him. Yeah, I mean, Michael Carcone is a great choice. That was on my radar too. Plus 410 at BetMGM.
I got 400 earlier,
yeah.
So it's gone. Okay.
Really good price there. I'm also going to go with an Arizona Coyote here tonight for my bargain bin. I'm going to go to Alex Kerfoot. I mean, this guy's been really, really good lately. I think he scored against Detroit in the 4-0 win as well the other night. He's producing right now. He's on the second line. He's getting opportunity. They've got good chemistry with Bukestad and Michelli, and you're getting a great price here too. Plus 370 at FanDuel. Alex Kerfoot for the Arizona Coyotes. Last time we had Alex Kerfoot in the bargain bin was against his old team, Toronto, and he scored that night. So maybe we can hit another one here. Magic can strike again for Alex Kerfoot, Arizona, plus 370 for my bargain bin special of the night for this Sunday card. All right, best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Well, it's coming from that Arizona Hawks game. We got a few things to choose from, but the thing I like most, I think we all kind of are in agreement with this, is the Arizona Coyotes team total over 3.5 plus 105. How this is still plus money is beyond me. So grab it now while you can. I am seeing it move at some spots, so you might have to lay. I like it all the way up to at least $1.10 in the spot. I think we're going to see Soderblom come back to earth after a good start at Mullet Arena. Arizona's remembering that rapid revenge spot. Horrible Sunday spot for the Hawks as usual. So give me the Yotes over 3.5 team total plus 105. That is my best bet for Sunday.
All right, Arizona team total over 3.5 at a nice even money or even plus price in some spots. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Connor Mack, great job again. What do you like for best bet?
I love the bet there with the Yotes. Like you said, I think we all agree on that. But give me the Preds plus 120. Fishy or not, I got to take it. Plus 120, Preds.
Yeah, you had them yesterday against Columbus in that game, and they got it done. Going back to the well with those Predators. Nashville plus 115, plus 120 in some spots. Best bet for Connor Mack in this one. My best bet for this Sunday card, there's a lot of interesting choices. Let's pick on this Calgary defense. Like I said, I don't think they're as good. They're definitely not as good. At least they shouldn't be as good on paper without Hanifin and Tanev. Tanev's just a shot suppression machine. He just keeps a lot of pucks from getting to the net. A lot more pucks are getting to the net now against this Calgary team. I think Carolina can definitely take advantage. And I'm going to play the team total because I don't want to put all my eggs in the Freddie Anderson basket. Let's just focus on Carolina getting 4 goals against a much weaker Calgary blue line and Dan Vladar instead of Markstrom. Markstrom's been great, and that's the one biggest fear you have betting opposing team totals against Calgary is Markstrom in net. But you're not getting Markstrom today. You're getting Dan Vladar. I think Carolina can get you 4. Carolina team total over 3.5 at a decent minus 120 price. That is going to be my best bet here for this Sunday NHL card. That'll wrap up this edition of the show. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it very much. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. It's already 2-0 Edmonton against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They fucking suck. Get this Penguin bullshit out of here. They're absolutely atrocious right now. They'll be lucky to win 5 more fucking games this year. Yep. It's ugly, man. It's really, really ugly with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But that's all right. It's good for us. Keep it up, Edmonton. Don't keep that foot down on that gas pedal. Great stuff, Connor. Another great job. Love having you here on Sundays. We'll have you on again every Sunday.
Shout out to everyone. I did hit it last week. Sorry to cut you up, man. Shout out to everyone in the support. I didn't mention that last week. Just giving me props and shit in the chat. I want to hit that. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt. It's like I say, you're carrying on the tradition of pretty good with props here on the show throughout the course of the season. No question about it. All right. We're out. We appreciate everyone joining us. Remember, we've got a Patreon exclusive live betcast this week. Okay, we'll reveal the day of the betcast, but it's this week. So again, I can't stress it enough. If you don't miss out on this one, they're fun. They've been good, profitable, and more importantly, the camaraderie is excellent with our viewers and listeners. So again, sign up patreon.com/iceguys, $10 a month to make sure you're part of this betcast coming up later this week. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For C-Mac and Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. Back tomorrow on Monday for another edition of the Ice Guys.